They don't want to accept that you are the chosen one. Your friends that God had you to let go was not going to accept the fact that you are extremely special and extremely different and are on a mission, and they're not, and that's why they get mad. But regardless, God told Saul his time was up, and baby, he had to go. And I told y'all in the last video with the monitoring spirits and with the different enemies that your enemies, just like Saul, okay, they're not going to learn. They're not going to learn until the grave.
So fresh, so clean. You can throw dirt on my name, won't keep me down. So proud of myself, wish the on me could see me now. Turn heads every time I be around because I'm tripping. I ain't like these other human beings, but I'm different.
Hello, beautiful chosen ones. I hope all's well with you. I'm trying to catch this sun before it disappears all the way. But yeah, let's jump into today's video. Chosen ones, a lot of the times depending on the person, it's a lot of people, we'd be like, you know what, whatever, you know. But a lot of times we wonder, why did God remove these people? Like the people we really, really loved and trusted the most. Why did he remove them? Why did we have a bad fallout? Why did the connection get lost? So from my point of view, again, I'm always going to tell you from my point of view, I honestly believe it is because God knew that these people could not, when your time came, okay, when it was your time to rise, to shine, to be that best version of yourself, they were not going to be ready. They were not going to be able to handle you. A lot of people like when you play it small. Okay? They like when you don't know who you are. And I'm going to give an analogy, and some people might get offended, but you know, I can't help that. I'm just giving you from what I've seen. If a person is like, depending on the size, like they could be a big person, they could wear certain things, and sometimes, you know, people might be mean about it and try to tease them and say, why you got that on, da da da. But then if you see the same person, but they're more in shape, they could be more attractive than the bigger person for whatever reason, you know, then it's like they get a lot of backlash. They both have on the same exact outfits, but yet one particular individual will get more hate. And then you see the other person, they get a lot of praise. And you're wondering, I'm not understanding. It's the same exact outfit. What's the difference? And that's a double-edged sword. Because in today's society, of course, if you fat shame, they're going to cancel you. If you're talking about women, you know, certain body parts, whatever, they're going to cancel you. But the reality of the fact is this. People like when you are, when they don't feel bothered, you know, when they don't feel competition, when they don't feel that certain feeling. Again, I can't really tell you because I don't judge people off of that. I don't allow those things to like really disturb me. But I've seen it. And chosen ones, the reason why I'm saying this to you is because the reason why you lost certain friends, family members, lovers was that they loved you and they liked you when you seemed average, when you seemed below average, when you were just lost in this matrix, when you were just living the mundane life, going to work, coming home, going partying, getting drunk, doing whatever, you know, they appreciated that version of you because you were able to relate to them because they're below average or average. But chosen one, you were never average. Even when moments you thought you were, you never were. There were times where I thought I was average. I wasn't really doing much. But even when I look back, I could still see like, wow, you guys were intimidated of me back then. When, y'all, I definitely glowed up. I came a long way, okay? But I still had people that were jealous and in competition of me back then, and I didn't even think much of myself. I'm not gonna say I was ever like, I looked in the mirror and thought like, oh my gosh, like I look, I don't think I look good today. I was never that type of person, but I wasn't the type of person to hype myself up to be like, oh, you're so beautiful. Like, I love myself. Like now I give myself that. I pour more into myself now. But back then when they were acting so wild and crazy, I wasn't doing that. I was just thinking like I was everybody else. And they still were acting like that about me. But now I know who I am. And now really stepping and walking in my power, it is a huge shift in difference. Like I notice it all the time. The way that I feel better now with the hate that I get is because it's like, baby, you're not on my level. I know who I am. So when I get that rejection or those weird vibes or I have to reject, it doesn't really bother me anymore. Chosen one, once you really start to wake up and know who you are, and I'm going to always tell you this, the little background noise in the back, it starts to get quieter and quieter each time. You know how they say same day, different day? Yeah. It's the same insecure people. It's the same drama-filled people. It's the same miserable people trying to come for your beautiful light and can't handle your light. And so they're going to make up things and they're going to assume and they're going to talk trash. But see, when you go to confront, there's nothing to be said. Now it's, let's disassociate. Let's act crazy. I don't know what you're talking about. But yet they got all that mouth any other time. But I'm telling you that God allowed these people to get out of your life because he knew they weren't going to be able to handle once you had to go to that next level, those different levels. Okay. It will really hurt you when you're trying to figure out the why and when you want to take these people with you. Chosen one, you can't take that person with you because God heard conversations that you didn't. When they were around other friends, when they were around other family members, when they were around their spouse, when they were around their kids and they were talking bad about you. And they were making up things about you that were not true. You didn't hear that. You only saw the mask. So a part of you could still be thinking, well, but I still love them, but I still care. No. When God says no, okay? When God says no, believe him, okay? Accept it. Even if you don't understand. I'm not going to say understand it because you probably won't understand it. But trust him. God tells us to lean not on our own understanding. So that's why I say you might not understand why God does what he does, but just respect it. Okay? Respect it, accept it, trust it, and believe it. Because God will never steer you wrong. When God takes out that trash, okay? When God ushers them out, you don't go and say, but God, I love them. They've been in my life. They've been this. Okay, because guess what? Go ahead and open that door again after God is shutting it. Go ahead. You're going to get more heartache, more pain. The next stab in the back is going to be even deeper. God has his reasons as to why that had to end. That had to go. And see, the part about life that everyone wants to lie about and dance around the table about is how God just wants everybody to be friends and everybody to reconcile and everyone to love each other. I mean, have you read the Bible? Because no, actually God does not want you to be friends with everyone or go sit at the table with everyone. God told you to love your enemies and pray for them because God doesn't want you to have hate in your heart. And I'm not here to promote hate either. Okay? I tell you all the time that forgiveness is necessary. But I'm also here to tell you that you can forgive, but don't be nobody's fool, baby. Okay? Look at the old Saul. Not the Saul he turned into Paul, but Saul who was king before David was. All right? If y'all keeping up with me, if you know the story. Saul was very jealous. He loved David at one point. Loved him. And Saul's son loved David. They became best friends. But Saul became jealous of David once he started seeing David's greatness. See, David wasn't a threat to Saul when he was low. Like, you know, he was younger. He was smaller. Not a lot of people cheered and clapped for him then. But baby, once David started showing he could be king, once David showed that he had what it took, okay, once David showed that he was a chosen one, pretty much, okay, and David didn't even know that at the time. David downplayed himself. He like, little old me fight against big old Goliath. God, are you okay? David had to touch God like, you okay? And God like, yeah, I know exactly what I'm doing. You're gonna be Goliath. But like I said, at that time, David still didn't know who he was. He was still asleep. Saul saw David's strength, his power, his gift, his presence, his aura way before David saw it. And that is exactly how it is with us. Everyone else around us know who we are. They're all intimidated. They're all shook. And they try to hide it in different ways. And that way we don't pick up on it right away. But eventually, what's in the dark comes to light. When you're fake, baby, it doesn't last. What you see right here, I am authentic as it gets. This is me, 25/8. I don't have a reason to put on a front for y'all. Or anybody for that matter. But it's a lot of people that would do that. Okay? But like I said, David didn't even know who he was, but Saul did. And the more and more David started climbing up that ladder and getting greater and greater, it just irritated Saul. Like he just could not take it. He went from being loving David, praising David, to just absolutely hating him. Telling everybody around, no, 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 no. And even when God told Saul that David would be king, that he would not be king no more, Saul, like, he wanted to box with God. Like, like, God, what you talking about? Like, what you mean? He not taking my spot. He ain't taking my crown. How you gonna tell God? You know, that's what people try to do, though. That's what your enemies try to do. That's what your confused fans, okay? Because that's what they are, confused fans. That's what they try to do. But God, why them and not me? Like, God, how you got this person the chosen one? How you got this person always winning and happy? And like, what about me? And God said, that's the problem right there. What about me? It's not your time yet. And with that attitude, it might not ever be your time. But see, your ops, your enemies, they're not hearing that back because they too busy confused. They too busy up your behind. They too busy want to know what you're doing. But Saul just would not, even after God commanded him to, even after God sent people, because God still loves Saul. God still love your enemies. They still love, but they gonna get that tapped, okay? They still gonna get that because God don't play about you. But that don't mean he don't love them too. So God was still trying to be patient and long suffering with Saul. Saul didn't want to hear none of that. He still kept hardening his heart, and didn't want to accept that David was going to be his replacement. Okay, because Saul didn't have a pure heart. David did at the time. So David was going to be his replacement. He didn't want to accept it. They don't want to accept that you are the chosen one. Your friends that God had you to let go was not going to accept the fact that you are extremely special and extremely different and are on a mission, and they're not. And that's why they get mad. But regardless, God told Saul his time was up, and baby, he had to go. And I told y'all in the last video with the monitoring spirits and with the different enemies that your enemies, just like Saul, okay, they're not going to learn. They're not going to learn until the grave. They're still going to try to pick at you. They're still going to try to watch you. Okay, they're still going to try to harass you, gang stalk you, put spells on you, go to witches, witch doctors, whatever on you, okay? Still going to try to do these things because they don't believe who God is. They don't believe in the power of God, because if they did, they wouldn't be messing with you. Same thing with Saul. He wouldn't have kept trying to pursue to kill David and be after David and refuse to pass the crown down to David if he actually feared God. He didn't. But baby, God is long suffering, but only for a certain amount of time. We don't know that time frame, but God do. And He's like, okay, keep testing me. Keep testing my gangster. You gonna see. Please don't get it confused to think God is just this cookie cutter Santa Claus God. Read the Old Testament, okay? If you really want to know how God get down, read the Old Testament. God don't play that. And God will cut off a whole line if he got to. He'll take out a whole line if he have to. Sorry, not sorry. Obey, do what God is telling you to do, or you're gonna get them consequences. And Saul met his fate. Your enemies, they won't learn to the grave. And that's how your old friends would have been. Every time I think about my old friendships and stuff like that, why they didn't work, I always think about David and Saul. And that's how it is with us chosen ones. That David and Saul relationship. They don't want to see you come up and rise up even greater than them. And that's why they start to hate on you. And that's when God is like, gotta go. Gotta go. The memories, all that, wrap it up. Gotta go. Get them out of here. And then y'all become enemies. But it's sad, but chosen ones, it is what it is. And we are here on a mission. We're not here to be lifelong friends with people. We're not here to make their dreams come true. No. When you got to let them go, when God say let them go with grace, love, peace. See you later, alligator. Bye. And don't think twice about it. Because, baby, jealousy is as cruel as the grave. And it says that in the Bible. Meaning, that jealousy that they have for you will start small, but it will get to the highest of heights if they don't put a cap on it. And they could try to come after you. And that has happened a lot. Listen to God. You are like you're chosen. And this is your time. And they couldn't handle it. They never really did. But once you start coming up more and more and more, that mask just came off. It's a hard pill for a lot of people to swallow, but they gonna have to just chug that liter of water down and swallow that pill. Cause we here, baby. And we not going nowhere. We not going nowhere ever. So I'm gonna wrap it up. We have 16 minutes now. I'm gonna wrap this up. I love you, chosen ones, okay? But remember, God loves you so much more. I'll be back with more, guys.